Hi everyone, Steph here from thegoodride.com. We are here checking out the Never Summer ProtoSynthesis. This is our second go around on this board because last year I got it during COVID when all the resorts were shut down, and the only environment I got to ride this was off-piste shallow trees. So I was like, I gotta take this out on like a real mountain day. I really want to try it all over the mountain. This is a hard charging all mountain freestyle board. It has a ton of energy in it. It has a ton of stability. It can carve hard, and it likes to explore the mountain through an advanced freestyle lens. It's a true twin, so it rides switch just as well as it rides regular. It's not asim like the prototype, but it is a true twin. It comes with the Shockwave rocker camber, so you get a little bit of reverse camber in the middle. It's kind of a passive reverse camber. The rocker isn't as prominent as a lot of the other Never Summer boards have. It's kind of more of a passive rocker, going to a pretty aggressive positive camber under the feet, coming all the way out to here. If you're pressuring the board on the bindings, your board is connected to the snow. It does still have that slight spin when riding flat base and a little bit of that torsional twist. So it doesn't take a ton of effort to turn, but it is a lot of energy and it's a little more snappy and responsive than some other hybrid rocker profiles. It also has a 6 out of 10 flex. So it's a pretty responsive flex. It is damp. It can definitely ride fast and stay nice and stable, but you can still manipulate it a little bit. So it's damp and stable, but has like a nice all mountain flex. They have a lot of options in sizing, which I really like. It's all the way from 139 to 151. A great variety of sizing that can fit a lot of different rider types, and it has a pretty narrow waist width. So it keeps it nice and responsive and easy to turn. The ProtoSynthesis has energy and a ton of performance, and it has just a little bit of forgiveness. So you do have to be on your game a little bit with this board, but not all the time. So I was able to ride this board. I rode it in Colorado in a ton of different terrain. You know, it was kind of like icy snow and then hard pack and then real snow. And then I rode it in Mammoth as well. That was pretty like full-on spring conditions. So icy in the morning, you know, a little bit of that magic hour when it started to melt, and then full-on slush. Yeah, basically the ProtoSynthesis is, I felt like for my weight range, is pretty aggressive. It's got a ton of carbon in there. It is snappy. It is responsive. It has a ton of energy. I didn't feel like it liked to ride slowly. I felt like it was one of those boards that performed better at medium to higher speeds. It didn't really like to mess around. There's no cruise in the green runs for this board. Yeah, so on steeps, you know, it's super responsive. It's that all mountain freestyle twin feel on steep, but I felt like it had a little bit more performance to it and a little bit more dynamic turning to it than a lot of other freestyle twins out there. It can hold a really nice edge on icy snow. Like, I didn't feel like it was lacking on icy snow at all. I feel like the added camber really held its own in some ice. It has a really good solid connection to the snow most of the time. It has a really nice edge hold that should hold up in most ice and hard pack conditions. And through moguls and trees, it's super responsive. It is the type of board that if you let your guard down, it might start tracking on its own. So you have to be on it, and it kind of forces you to be more on your game and more over your front foot and really telling this board where to go. Otherwise, it will tell you where to go. Definitely versatile enough to ride through tight situations, to hit some moguls and make some really dynamic turns there, and ride through some tight steep trees. Like, no problem there. As long as, you know, you're telling it where to go, then it's all good. And then on groomers, I think my favorite part about the ProtoSynthesis is its carving ability. Like, so fun. I was out at Breckenridge and there's nothing but wide open groomers out there. There was no one there. And it was so much fun to just let this board go and do some high speed carving and lay it over. It's stable and there's energy, and it holds its line really nicely. So it's definitely really good at carving, especially for being a true twin. You know, it's not that super directional carver, but it can definitely carve. So it has a ton of performance in it, and it can really make some dynamic movements in the snow. I feel like the ProtoSynthesis likes to live in that intermediate terrain and above. It doesn't really like to mess around in the easy green runs. It wants to be riding a little quicker. It wants to be moving a little faster in order to get the benefits from the board. And then in the park, super fun in the park. Not a beginner park board, not something that if you are like looking for an intro to freestyle, this isn't it. If you already have a good freestyle foundation, then the ProtoSynthesis is going to be a ton of fun. Super snappy on jumps. You can ollie this thing. So if you bend the board in an ollie or on a jump, it is going to shoot you into the air and it's awesome. And then you get a really nice stable landing. So definitely could hit, you know, medium to large jumps and feel okay with it. At the beginning of riding this board, I felt like the ollies took a little extra effort, but then when I learned where that camber zone was under my back foot, if you got the timing right, you could almost just like stomp down the back and it would launch the board into the air. So kind of learning where and how those camber zones work, there is a slight learning curve, but once you learn it, you could get a ton of energy from this board. For jibs, an established jibber could ride this board and feel good on it. It's not forgiving enough for an intro to jib board, or if you're just learning or still not sure about it. But you can jib on this board, you know, it will lock into rails. It is just not going to forgive you if you land wrong. Put it that way. In the half pipes were hard to find this season. And I wish I could have gotten into the half pipe because I feel like this board would be a ton of fun. It just has really nice edge hold. It's got great stability and it has a ton of energy. And I think it would be a lot of fun in the half pipe. As far as powder goes, it's not a powder board. It kind of reacts like a positive camber board would react. The nose kind of dips down. You get a tiny bit more float because of the little bit of rocker in between the feet than you would from a traditional true camber board. But if you have this board as a daily driver, you're gonna want an extra board for those powder days to switch it out because it's not gonna float that well. So who is the ProtoSynthesis for? If you're a higher end intermediate rider to advanced expert rider looking for an all-mountain twin, an all-mountain freestyle board that can send, somebody who likes performance out of their snowboard, someone who likes a ton of energy and likes to be on their game all the time, then the ProtoSynthesis could be a good fit. If you like a hard charging park board, then the ProtoSynthesis could be that board as well. If you are a rider that likes to ride switch just as much as they like to ride regular, or take a more kind of aggressive freestyle approach to all mountain, then this board would be great for that.
Hey, I'm here to give you a review on the ProtoSynthesis. I took it out for a few days in Colorado right before I went on vacation, which is where I am now. And I've ridden quite a few Never Summers, the Prototype 2, and the Raven, and the Onyx. So park board, carved board, and the All Mountain. And I want to tell you how that ProtoSynthesis shapes up compared to those. It has that flatter camber in the middle, probably the flattest one they have of their reverse profiles. Camber underfoot, early rise. Going off of jumps and takeoffs was awesome. It had so much pop and lift and sliding on rails. Just locked right in. Loved it. Carving. Oh, the thing was meant to carve. It is a carving board. Feels great in the powder. The early rise helps me kind of keep that shorter profile. I don't like a board that comes in much higher than my chin to mouth, and that was coming in right here on me. So, and it still did great in the powder. You know, a little more work than a true powder board, but a lot of fun. Woo! Yeah. So now I thought I had great nose popping up, nose butters. It could really load up. The one thing that I didn't really like, or maybe I just couldn't figure out the profile in the 3 days I rode it, was when I ollied compared to the Prototype 2, I just felt like they popped flat. I didn't have all the oomph that I was getting from maybe a Camber Profile or something with a little bit more just shape in that middle section. But with all that being said, I love the board. It was super fun. Stiff like the Raven, which is one of their older boards, and fun profile like the Protos before. So
that is a look at the ProtoSynthesis from Never Summer.